Hey everybody, welcome to this video on active listening for the Gold Mining King Building Circle. In the previous several videos, we have talked about the echo process and active listening things to avoid. And this is a continuation of that series where we will be talking about what active listening is and how it shows up in the healing space and space where people want to be in a place of support. For me, active listening has been a tool, a useful one at that has allowed me to show up for my friends and offer them a shoulder of support when that's what they needed from me. I also have with me here tonight Andy Vick, who has been a great pioneer in the Omega Point program process that he's bringing into the community. And active listening is one of the tools that he actively teaches in that program to his students. So I'll make the place open for Andy to share. Andy, would you like to talk about active listening and what it means to you and how it shows up for you?
Sure. Active listening for me is the foundation to facilitation and to communication between two people. So active listening for me, there's three tenets to active listening. Number one, the first tenet is to be silent. Make sure that you are silent, listening to what the other person is sharing, whether this be someone you're facilitating, a best friend like you were talking about, family member, right? Be silent. Number two is echo back. So utilizing someone's words, repeating back what they have said to you, using their words. And what this does is allow people to hear themselves and then be able to go deeper into whatever feeling or whatever is coming up for them in that minute. And then number three is ask for clarity. Asking for clarity is important because when someone brings up something such as freedom, that you can ask them, well, what do you mean by freedom? And then again, guide them deeper into what their meaning is and getting more specific and clearer about what's going on for them. So those are the three main tenets of active listening. I find it to be the foundation completely. Also, you want to be genuine, be curious, meet people where they are. The more that you can actually, when you're echoing back, the more that you can actually echo back in the same kind of emotion or feeling that it came across, someone can also recognize that and go deeper as well. So that's active listening to me. Again, foundational piece for everything coming when it's about leadership, when it's about communication. And then as it progresses, it is the foundation for hearing myself. When something's coming up for me, being able to just be quiet and listen as a friend, as someone that cares. I can even ask myself, echo it back, ask for clarity, and that helps me get deeper and deeper. And you see that in the echo process that we also have, that we've been using in the King Circle, and that we also have in the folder as one of the processes that is used.
Beautiful. What I'm hearing, Andy, is again the three foundational tenets: being silent, echoing back, and asking for clarity. And what this brings up for me is it is very counterintuitive to me to be silent when I'm trying to listen to the other person. Because I want to communicate that, hey, I'm really excited to hear about what you have to say. But it is, like you said, it's really important for me to be silent so that I can make space for the other person to share whatever is coming up for them without interruption. And I also like your the focus back to the third point, which is asking for clarity, because oftentimes I've caught myself making assumptions. I might be hearing the other person very intently, but I might be filling the blanks with assumptions myself. And it is I've found it very important for me to ask. It's like, hey, like you pointed out with the example for freedom, I might immediately project what freedom means to me into the other person's. So taking a pause there and asking, it's like, hey, you specified freedom or peace. What does that mean for you, so that I can understand what they're trying to share versus me trying to project my thoughts and opinions on their dialogue. So I absolutely love it. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like
So
Sorry, go
So
ahead.
to quickly echo back,
Yeah,
you find it difficult for you sometimes to be silent because you also want to portray your excitement that you're feeling for being able to be there for another person.
mhm,
You also really like the asking for meaning because you find that if someone says freedom or peace, um, that before you've had a tendency to fill that in with your own projections or what that means for you. And that allows them to really open up and really be able to explain to you what freedom and peace means.
correct, correct. And
Mm.
oftentimes I've discovered in that scenario that their definition of freedom was radically different than mine was.
Mhm.
And I might learn something about this friend that I've known for years. I'm like, oh, I did not know this about you, or I did not know you thought this way, but this is pretty interesting. And again, I feel like this has helped me connect and bond with them on a deeper level. Again, simply because, like you pointed out, the idea of genuineness and curiosity, just like showing up with that. So I definitely love these aspects of this tool of active listening.
So very cool. So in your curiosity and your care for someone,
Right.
asking for that clarity, you have learned more about people that you care about and friends at a level that you didn't even know.
Correct. Correct.
So once you were able to let go of your own projections and filling in, you found so much more knowledge and understanding by simply asking for clarity.
Spot on. Um,
Mm.
Also, want to echo back, Andy. This was a beautiful job. Listening, echoing back, and asking me for clarifications. And I feel like this is a really great example of not just talking about active listening, but practicing it live as we're talking it. So, uh, I'm just going to share what's coming up for me in this conversation. I feel heard, understood, and I sense that you are interested in what is coming up for me, and it makes me feel very validated, which I feel like is an impact or consequence of active listening when I'm doing it to another person who's seeking support. So I want to vocalize that as well to our viewers here, that this is the power of active listening that a person might experience when they feel heard.
So you feel heard, and it also, what also came up is you felt important.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Are there any nuggets of advice that you might want to share with people who are getting started with active listening? Things that or challenges that are very common for people to face when they're getting started in this journey, especially because, in my projection, in my opinion, uh, this active listening is very different than how we have been taught communication in our schooling system. So coming from a place where communication is all about being loud, in my projection, being loud and being assertive, going from that place to being silent and more listening. Are there any challenges that people might face that you can make them aware of?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, there are challenges. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's any advice to challenges that may come up while you're practicing active listening with somebody else. So one of the other videos that are on here is the active listening don'ts, or things to avoid. I highly recommend looking at that, because when you look at that, you can also reflect on things that you may be doing during active listening. It comes down to really those three things: is being silent. Silent and listen have the same letters in them. So seriously, just zip it. Like, let it happen. Echo back. Echo back to someone their words. Hearing your own words. When I hear my own words, it helps me go deeper and then also clarify and better define what I'm feeling. It also makes it feel that, like you said, I'm heard and I'm important, and that gives me a safe place to continue to open. Asking for meaning, I think in today's world, I used to be very vague about what I would say, because I had my own fears or whatever was coming up in that. But in a safe place of you asking me a meaning, and I get clear about what I'm thinking and feeling inside, that really helps me hear myself, right? So what I really add on there is meet people where they're at, match their energy, match what they're saying. The other thing that I really recommend is being genuinely curious, insofar as get out of your own head. If I'm listening to you, it's not about me. It's not about my journey. It's about yours. It's about hearing what you have to say. It's about listening to you and then helping you hear yourself. Like you said, when you ask for meaning and you get the beautiful gift of your friend explaining themselves in a way that you didn't think was there, you just allowed the universe to gift you whatever is there without you controlling it. And it's just simply allowing it to be. And I have found in that the gifts are infinite. The things that I've learned, the things that I've heard from other people, the perspectives that I've gotten to take in and be a part of because of this process has been amazing, especially with my children, with my wife, with my exes, with my family, with those that I'm in community with to help others live their purpose and know their truth. Active listening is the foundation. And taking to those three, avoiding the 11 things that we have on the things to avoid, which you're also correct. We have been taught since birth, through movies, through school, through all these different things of the things to avoid. So there is going to be a period of time that will absolutely take some getting used to. But once you get there, once I got there, I found every conversation had a higher frequency and a higher experience to it. This one alone, just if you go back and watch you and I talking, it raised and raised and raised. The energy raises. Gratitude, expression, being heard, being important. Everything raised. So that's what I would add on to that.
Beautiful, Andy. I feel like you added and touched on a lot of important topics here. So let me make sure that I capture all of that. The hurdles or challenges that people might face when they start this journey of active listening is very succinctly captured in those 11 things to avoid. And yes, we do have another video where we talk about it. So I'll put that into the description below if our viewers want to continue this section of active listening. So definitely highly recommend checking that out and understanding those 11 things to avoid when active listening. And that will overlap with some challenges that people might face when starting on their journey.
Yes.
I also heard you say, which again, as I was listening, I was doing the math in my head. It's like, oh, silent and listen have the exact same letters. How beautiful! How beautiful was that? And yeah, it's absolutely amazing because, again, to me, from an engineering mindset, if I am silent, then I'm making space for my brain to process and absorb anything that the person might be saying. So it, again, hindsight 2020, it makes absolute sense when I listen to you. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like that sounds like common sense, but I have not thought about it that way before this in the past. Or it has been something that I had to learn. So, and I also heard you say how at the baseline of it is just being silent and listening and allowing the other person to get to that place of safe space where they feel open and safe enough to open up and share whatever's coming up for them. And I also heard you say that this has been a tool that has allowed you to connect with your wife and your children. And again, it is so beautiful, but B, also, I love these examples because the things that we are talking about today, it could definitely be a philosophical conversation and discussion, but to me, it's sounding like it is also something practical that people can apply in their daily lives and improve their relationships with, their family, their friends, their colleagues, and their loved ones. And I feel very happy that it is such an important tool that people can use, and not just something to talk and discuss about, but also to apply and just make a positive change in their daily routine. So thank you for echoing that up and for bringing that and for sharing.
Well, let me just riff off of what you just said. Yeah. Imagine a world where we all hear each other, where we feel safe, where we feel heard, where we feel important. I mean, it's limitless what we could achieve together.
Beautiful. Imagine a world where, please repeat that again.
We feel safe, we feel heard, and we feel important.
Imagine a world where I feel safe, I feel heard, and I feel important. Beautiful. What a wonderful message. And a beautiful thing to strive towards. And I guess on that note, I feel like that is a beautiful place to wrap up our discussion on active listening here tonight. And this is the message that I want to leave our viewers today is, if anything that you're taking away from this, take away this vision of imagining a world where you feel safe, you feel heard, and you feel important. Awesome. Andy, I also invite you to check out with anything that might be coming up for you.
I'm Andy. I'm checking out Grateful. Also very joyous to have just created something with a man that I love and that I care for. That's a wonderful feeling. And with a very distinct intention of helping others begin to listen to each other and to themselves. And I'm out with that.
Oh, thank you, Andy.
Mhm.
Beautiful. I'm Shirin Biswas, Healing Panda. I'm checking out, feeling safe, heard, and important. I'm out with that.
Go ho.
Okay.